And we are live, I think. Hello everyone and welcome to a new Monday stream here on Access the Animus. My name is Marco and today we're going to have another chill stream here, like today on Monday. And we're going to try and play something different than the usual Dawn of Ragnarok DLC. We're going to play the crossover with Kassandra and Eivor. Let me see if everything is working. Not seeing the stream, but there we are. Okay. So, how are you guys doing? How has the week started? Are you still playing the DLC? Have you turned your attention towards something else, or have you pretty much avoided the DLC to play something else like Horizon or Elden Ring? Let me see. I can't hear the audio. Is the audio working? Oh, okay, yeah. It is working. Okay, so let's go around. Let's go and start the crossover. Let's go to vodka. Hello, Crafting Ranger. Welcome to the stream. So nice to see you today as well. How's the day going? Hello, Sam KJ. Welcome. You finished it yesterday, the DLC? How was it? How did you feel about it? Without spoiling it too much. Let's try and keep it not too spoilery here. Hello, Atef. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Psycha, welcome to the stream. So nice to see you all. We're trying, like I said, we're going to try and do something different. We're going to just play the crossover to mix and match. Maybe in the coming weeks, on the next Mondays, we're going to play some other AC games in our chill streams while we're waiting for new content, if it's going to be released for Valhalla or anything else. This is Valka saying that she is having visions about something happening, which felt pretty weird when playing, because she is not supposed to be the descendant of the Isu here, but I guess. I finished the new DLC in 2 days. How many hours did it take you to finish it? And you mean the main story, or did you play some side activities as well? They are super late on the Ostara festival. Yeah, they're always. I mean, today officially should be the first day of spring, so Ostara should be all the rage. But I guess that not a lot of fans are really interested, or like the spotlight is really not on the festivals anymore, so they can bide their time. But it's possible that they might add some new rewards, as they did with the Yule festival. So I thought the crossover was interesting, but I personally wasn't a fan of Eivor in it, says Atef. Why do you mean? Like, why weren't you a fan of Eivor? I mean, I didn't like her because she was a bit too wouldn't say obnoxious, but she really... Kassandra was also sometimes really hostile. But the chemistry was there in a way. Like they did have some okay jokes. Some others were sometimes at times cringy. I'm hitting the webcam. In the meantime, we are approaching the Isle of Skye. That is the location for the map of the crossover, at least for Valhalla's portion. Hello Hernan, welcome to the stream. I played the crossover after East Anglia and it made me enjoy it a lot more. Um, yeah, I would say that most of the post-launch content for Valhalla is more enjoyable if you play it before getting to the end of the game because most of it does not take into account the ending and also the other events in the post-launch. So if you consider all the elements of the post-launch content as like self-conclusive stories, and you play them before getting to the end of the game, they are more enjoyable. But I wouldn't expect any fan to just play the post-launch content before getting to the end. I mean, yes, you can play it, but while you're playing the main game, you want to get to the end at some point. So I'm really angry about Dawn of Ragnarok. Yes, it's a like we shared in our community reactions video last week. A lot of opinions are very negative about the DLC, especially about its pricing, but also its story, for sure. Psych, I think you mentioned that it was very fast, but you played the story only, the main story. Yeah. Well, main story in Dawn of Ragnarok is pretty quick to do if you are blazing through it like without stopping at any area, without getting any item or treasures or whatever. That's for sure. Playing it post-campaign is bad, but its power level is 55, so it makes sense to do it early game. The crossover, you mean? Yes, I agree. And it makes sense because even here, Eivor does not know anything about any kind of Isu story or technology or anything like that. See, when you don't have the powers and you have to climb a mountain, it gets pretty boring, both because of the parkour, which sometimes is very very slow, and also because the most of the areas, at least the land areas, are procedurally generated. Sometimes like the parkour working on the procedurally generated areas can be super slow, and when you have to create like huge mountains because they are recognizable, like this old Menos store mountain is a real mountain, I think, that exists in the Isle of Skye next to Scotland, so well, in Scotland. So when you couple all of that together, that makes for some very slow climbing, which is not super fun in my opinion. I also finished the whole map as well as all the other maps, so I got like 500 plus hours. Wow, Sam, that's some dedication. I think I've done 300 hours, and most of that was recording gameplay for the videos. So, I mean, congratulations. If you enjoyed Valhalla that much, all the more power to you, as I always say in our videos and streams. I'm always supportive. Like, if people enjoy playing a game for such a long time, that means that they enjoyed it that much. I can't see it otherwise, especially if you're not creating content on a game. If you're spending that much time in it, it means that you really enjoyed it. So that way you're also in a way thanking the devs, because like if you're playing that much, it means you really really enjoyed it. The free content feels like filler in between arcs to fill in the time jumps historically. Crafty which filler? Oh, you mean the free content? What do you mean? You were talking about like the free content in the post-launch, I think. So, I mean, it can feel like filler, but there's also some filler arcs in the main game. So, playing both the post-launch content, the free content, and the DLCs, and also the filler content in the main game, it can take you a long time before getting to the end. So,
Is everything all right?
I mean,
You seem
that's cool.
like a warrior with the braid.
If I were a new player, I'm really interested usually in following the story chronologically. So I would probably try and do that, but I would also get bored at some point and would try and go on to see the ending of the game.
In my dreams. Find her and please.
SimSeaver is what you're playing right now, and you think no, this is the Valhalla and Odyssey crossover that was released last year in December 2021. We just wanted to try and shift things up from the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC that we have streamed for I think 3 or 4 streams consecutively. So we wanted to try and do something different. Next week we might even try some different games, so then we don't do Valhalla only. The main problem for me about the DLC was that the mythological side of history doesn't make sense. What was the Salakar? What was Surtur's plans? Why did he need it? The DLC's main story does a really bad job at answering those questions. Sometimes it doesn't really answer them at all. We're trying and have an analysis about that. These days we have released the first episode last Friday, dedicated to Dawn of Ragnarok and what it actually means, like the entirety of its story plus its ending. The ending will be discussed towards the final episodes. Today I actually finalized the script for the second episode. I'm planning to have it released by the end of this week or early next week. So that will be focused on the early arcs. So when you get to the first ancient vault and the second ancient vault, and when you get to know about the Salakar as well. So I'm gonna try and provide some early answers as to what the Salakar was, but it's still early stuff. And then the third and fourth episodes will delve a bit, like way more into the ending, what the Salakar was, what Surtur's plans was, and also that other character that appears at the end in the post-credit scene. And then, yes, there's like this theory by Six Keys that Surtur and his family were supposed to be Loki and his children, but that's not the case in the game. But I would like to make a tiny video about that as well, because I think it's a very nice theory. So, yeah. You think Dawn of Ragnarok was the last DLC for Valhalla? I would say yes-ish. If you're talking about main expansion, probably yes. Considering the rumors about Rift. In terms of additional content, probably not. Especially because even if they announce the new game soon, they will still have to keep fans entertained until the release of that. So I would expect some, and plus they actually announced a year 2, so I wouldn't expect year 2 to start on March the 10th and then end on March the 10th with the DLC. I expect something more. Even just the continuations of the Mastery Challenge and the Tombs of the Fallen activities. So I felt like the ending of Dawn of Ragnarok was a little bit strange. Yes, everyone felt like that. Sam, it's not only you. Pretty much it was very much abrupt, and also I didn't explain a lot of stuff. Actually, the post-credit scene it can also confuse even more, because the post-credit scene says, hey, what you just played actually led to this event, but it doesn't explain how or why, or like why did that happen. So the only thing I couldn't do is the battle behind the huge dam, because when I put on the armor my game freezes. Oof. New expansions, new patches tend to do that to AC. Have you tried using different save files? SimSivar? Try and use maybe one of your oldest files. Get to use the Jotun armor and then go beyond the dam, because you can get this axe, which is pretty okay. I mean, it's not necessary, but if you're a completionist, yes, you have to go there as well. And like you said, I like to complete everything, so part of me think there's gonna be another part of the DLC. Hernan, you're not the only one. I don't believe that's going to be the case, but judging by the abrupt ending of Dawn of Ragnarok, you tend to believe that there's going to be something else in the future. I think that they just did a bad job with the ending there, and then it's over, but we'll see. $40 was a robbery, yes. Very much. Like, since our first stream on Dawn of Ragnarok, which was before the release of the DLC, I kept saying, unless you really, really, really want to play this, you just need to wait for some time for it to get discounted. Even at specific retailers, you don't have to get it necessarily through the store. There are some retailers that use that sell the DLC, and you get a code and then you can redeem it. So yeah, a lot of people agree. Actually, when we had like last week, we had a survey about some of the aspects of the DLC, and one of the questions was about the pricing, and we had like 90% of the answers saying that it was too much. So like pretty much everyone agrees on that. I have no idea why Ubisoft decided to go in that direction, but that's what they decided, and that's what happened, I guess. And that is also shown in the chat right now. Like, all of you guys agree on Dawn of Ragnarok pretty much being a robbery in terms of like its pricing. Kassandra's hidden blade looks so cool. Yeah, I do agree. It represents her because of the Medusa, the Greek character and everything. It looks cool. It looks used. And also there's like a connection between the bracer that Kassandra is using here and the bracer that Kassandra uses in the post-credit scene of the Odyssey portion of the crossover where she goes to Egypt. So that's a nice little connection there. Alright, Dominator, you like the DLC. What did you like about the DLC? Like the story, the gameplay, the collectibles, the environment. Actually, let's make it positive. What did you guys like about the DLC? Nothing. Or something. Can't expect answers like that. In the meantime, we are going here, and like DLC, the crossover seems to hint that this like cursed places are actually real, and there's actual curses on the Isle of Skye that Eivor can sense and that Kassandra cannot. That's super weird. If it was like for $25, I would understand it, but $40, I don't know. Yeah, not really. SimCVAR, you really like the powers. I did as well. Like I said earlier in other streams, visually they don't seem to belong to anything Assassin's Creed related because of the magic and everything. But gameplay wise, they are very much something that you would expect to improve the pillars of Valhalla specifically. So the stealth, the navigation, they didn't improve the parkour, but I feel like parkour was never like a main pillar in Valhalla, considering what we got. Jonathan, you liked the arena. I found it to be slightly repetitive, in that at some point you had to do more or less either the same fights or using the same debuffs in the fights in order to get the credits faster and faster, to get the items in the shop, which I didn't really like. I would have preferred the Horde mode. I think I mentioned that in the last stream as well. Horde mode, at least in Origins, it got me more hooked into playing over and over and over. But yeah, I mean, at least this time it was diversified. Like having different challenges means something different than only having to fight different waves of enemies. So I can understand why some fans do like the arena. Story was meh, but liked the powers the most. Svartalfheim and boss battles were great. Can agree. Like Svartalfheim was diversified enough, at least when you play for the first time, and when you're not necessarily there to clear the map. Because when you, like, my feeling is that when you clear the map, you tend to see the patterns. So like most of the iced areas are similar to each other, apart from the dams maybe. There are some locations that feel unique in the DLC. Some of the mills are pretty cool, not just because they are raid locations, actually because they feel really different from each other. So yeah, good afternoon. I've been up since 3 a.m. Colonel Doom, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us, but maybe you should sleep. It should take us a moment to relax. If there is a part 2 or episode 2 with a new map, Muspelheim maybe, and missions in Asgard and Jotunheim, I will consider the price justified, yes. But the thing is, unless they decide to release free content for everyone, I don't expect them to release free content for the people that own the DLC. And usually at Ubisoft, DLCs are like self-contained projects. Once they are done, they're done. I don't recall any kind of post-launch content for a DLC. Not even the Discovery Tour for any DLC area. They did not that for Odyssey. They did not do that for Origins and for Valhalla as well. I would have liked to have a Discovery Tour in Ireland, but that was not the case. Save the World says, playing Unity right now, HUD off, and I beat Assassin's Creed Valhalla, all the DLC besides buying the last one. Unity is way better. Are you talking in terms of gameplay or story, or all of that? Because like gameplay wise, I feel like Valhalla has way more options, but they are very much RPG inclined. In Unity you have way more options, stealth oriented, so you can actually feel like an assassin, while Valhalla, now that you have social stealth maybe, but Unity feels much better, like makes you much better at feeling like an assassin. I found something for you to figure out in the new DLC. I found 2 ghost hounds and the regular hound, and they are all invincible. I reckon you have to have a certain gear set. Andrew, when you're talking about hounds, are you talking about wolves? Because there are some areas when you can find some ghost wolves and some normal wolves, and they are some sort of like bosses. They are these Sutungur outriders, and basically they are like mini bosses that you can find in the world, and then allow you to get some items of the Jotun set. In the meantime, we can see Eivor and Kassandra mocking each other, threatening each other and stuff. Hey Ethan, welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a nice day, and hope you guys are all having a nice day or evening wherever you are. I need more information about Assassin's Creed Rift. If everyone does, we also do. I feel like the first potential date for that could be E3 or before that, if that even exists. I would expect that to exist, but like if that exists, I would expect some potential information no earlier than E3. Maybe after that, who knows. I liked Odin in it and how he reminisced about his relationship with Loki, but the story felt rushed, and I was disappointed we never got to speak with Baldur, and pulling the body double twice felt cheap. Yes. Agreed pretty much with everything, Netef. I liked Odin. Can I say I liked Odin? I respected his character a bit more, because at least this time you can also see some positive sides to Odin. In the Asgard and Jotunheim arc, you can see his resolve. You don't see a lot that he cares about the people around him. It's more like how much he doesn't want to die and how he wants to survive in there. While in here, you really see how much he cares about his son, and how much he cares also about Loki, and how he would like them to at some point make peace in a way, like try and find some common ground, which will never happen, by the way, but at least that's his wish, which is pretty cool. Like that adds some kind of layer to Odin, for sure. I'm in Wales in the UK. I just got home from my first shift at my new job. Congrats, Ethan. I hope you enjoyed it. How's everyone else? I'm doing pretty great, honestly. Today was a sunny day, and yesterday Ferrari won in Formula 1, so I'm doing pretty great. It's been 3 years since Ferrari even tried to win a race, and I'm a huge Formula 1 fan, so yesterday was a great day. I taught myself to get up early in the morning, around 3 a.m., sometimes around 4:30. That was when I was a cadet. Woo! You're an actual colonel. I thought it was just in your name. Wow. Until you retired in 2020. Wow. That's some career. I wouldn't be able to wake up at that time. Sometimes that's the time where I stop doing ATA stuff, or like creating videos or whatever, or when I generally go to, not generally, but sometimes that's when I go to sleep. So congratulations for your mindset. I hope Rift is a thing, but I'm keeping my expectations low. If you are a hardcore fan, a long-time AC fan, it's always best to keep your expectations low, because, you know, we've been burnt a few times through these 15 years, because this year is the 15th anniversary of Assassin's Creed. So yeah, it's understandable if you want to keep your expectations low. I always do that. I did that with Dawn of Ragnarok as well, which helped me, and I still get mad, and I still get to have some some rants in our videos. There's going to be some rants in the second episode of the analysis of Dawn of Ragnarok. I'm trying to keep that to a minimum, but sometimes I cannot contain myself, honestly. I liked Odin because it felt like they embraced him being more morally grey and made it more obvious. Yes, agreed. Some Isu language on screen. There was no Isu language in the DLC, and I have no idea why that was the case. Maybe there was some location that hasn't been found yet, but it's been, what, 11 days and nobody found it? And Ubisoft did not hint at that. It means it was not there. Which is super weird, because Dawn of Ragnarok itself was teased through some Isu language at E3 last year, and then there were more teasers with the Siege of Paris DLC last summer. It feels so weird that there's no Isu language in Dawn of Ragnarok. Before E3, publishers like Ubisoft will give subtle teases to the games they're going to show at the event, so maybe they will do something like that for Rift. Yes, Tailgate. First of all, welcome to the stream again. So nice to see you. And also, yes, that's why I said I didn't just say at E3, but sometimes before. Like most of the times, especially because things get leaked. Ubisoft especially tends to do some pre-announcements, like saying like this exists, tune in at the Ubisoft conference or whatever, like at Ubisoft Forward, and this is gonna happen, because by that time the game has already been leaked. So it happened with Valhalla, it happened with Odyssey, it happened with Origins, and pretty much every other game. When you meet Kassandra, you are Layla in the Animus as Eivor, so who was in control of Kassandra when you meet? Because we were in the Animus as Kassandra before. Andrew, depending on when you are playing the crossover, you could be Layla or you could be another character. I'm not spoiling them, because if you don't know who they are, it's best not to talk about them. But yeah, and also there is actually, if you complete the crossover, there is a document that discusses the potential questions that are raised about two characters whose Animus hosts are reliving the experiences and the lives of. So how does it feel if there's a piece of Eden in between, because Kassandra is having, like, here has the staff, but also Layla in the modern day has the staff, or the other character. So low expectations means less room for disappointment. Yes, I agree. Actually, my father always taught me that disappointment always comes from an illusion. So if you are eluding yourself that something might happen, that's where you're going to be disappointed when that thing does not happen. So disappointment comes from what we convince ourselves that is going to happen. So if you keep your some low expectations, you're going to be surprised potentially. But if you have high expectations, there's a good chance you're gonna get absolutely wrecked. So can you use Dawn of Ragnarok powers in the base game? No, but you can use the abilities that you get in Dawn of Ragnarok in some grounded ways. Like they're like the abilities, you can use all the abilities, but they are the animations are way more grounded. Like there's no electricity, there's no magic involved, and that's that pretty much. I wouldn't be surprised if Assassin's Creed Rift would be an RPG game. Could be, but the rumors were talking about a more streamlined game, which could be anything pretty much. Like it could be still an RPG, but more action adventure oriented. Like it could have some RPG elements, as was the case for, I don't know, Unity or Syndicate, like with the inventory management and the stats and everything. But Unity and Syndicate were still some action adventure games. I think with Forgotten Myths, Loki will poison Baldur and turn him over to the Muspels. That could be the case. I've read the first issue of Forgotten Myths. We're going to have a review on our website soon with some story summary about that that was written by our own sources. In the first issue, there's nothing like that. As in, the first issue pretty much provides the context, with Baldur deciding to go to Muspelheim. Baldur deciding to go to Svartalfheim to break some kind of truce and avoid the war between Muspelheim and Svartalfheim. And towards the end of the comic, he meets Loki. So nothing has happened yet. And the next issue will be released next month. So for 30 more days, we won't know about that. RC the Shen, welcome to the stream again. Layla's connection with Kassandra only goes as far as the spear of Leonidas. I would say that Layla got a lot of bleeding effect that affected her. Plus the connection with Kassandra was obviously the staff of her mistress Megistus, and Layla had to be the hero memories, even if that was turned out to be was changed into a plan by Alethea and Loki to reunite themselves. But yeah. So can you fly as the bird, or can you use your arrows to teleport in the base game? No. You can't. All the powers are only available in Svartalfheim, thankfully. I know that gameplay-wise, when you get back to the normal world, it feels like you're missing something, because the powers are very useful in Svartalfheim, but they wouldn't make sense in the world, so they removed them. I mean, they never made them available. Even though I like the old school, I prefer the old Assassin's Creed. Team is saying, I do like the RPG mechanics and the newer games. Being a fan of RPG games, that makes sense. That's understandable. I would even say that the transition towards RPG was to draw more fans towards Assassin's Creed, like fans that played different games, like RPG games, like you. So that absolutely makes a lot of sense. That you are enjoying the recent games more than the old ones. Of course, they are catering to players like you, so that very much makes sense. What would you like to see in the AC Netflix show? Good question. I would like to see... Well, I would like the show to not make the same mistakes of the movie, for starters, in that the movie had 2 hours to introduce the assassins, introduce the modern day, introduce the Templars, the first civilization, the pieces of Eden, historical, the Animus, how the Animus works, what are subjects, what is the connection between subjects and their ancestors. Obviously, 2 hours was not enough to do justice to all of that. So first and foremost, I would like the Netflix series to actually have like the proper time to introduce all these elements. Also, of course, I would like the Netflix series to be canon, so to take into consideration what is happening at the time where it is set. So if it has a modern day, which I hope, because it looks cool, it would look very cool. If it has a modern day, it has to be placed within the canon of the modern day that we know of. And in terms of historical setting, I honestly don't know. I was about to say Japan, but at the same time, I would like to say to see Japan in the games, so in China as well. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of setting I would like to see there. Maybe the Netflix series could have different settings. Who knows? Like, I would imagine like they can have different sets for different settings that could flesh out a bit better the concept of the Animus that allows you to relive the lives of different ancestors of yours. So that would be cool, for sure. Matteo, welcome to the stream. Just came back from college. So nice to have you back. And you made it in time. Usually we are streaming every Monday at 8 p.m. CST. So it's not always, we're not always super precise with that, but you can know that usually we're streaming at that time. The next issue of Forgotten Myths will probably release around the time of new free content. I'm not sure, Crafty, about that, because the release date for the comics have been already announced, and it's pretty much every month. And usually the timings for the free content is not always synchronized with transmedia. Usually the production teams go their own way. And this is also why the first issue of Forgotten Myths, which was supposed to be a prequel comic, it released a week after Dawn of Ragnarok. It was still close, but to me it did not make any sense, honestly. Andrew is asking, what do you think about Reda from Origin still being alive? I think it's a good move in that. It's not like it was my primary concern, but they explain why Reda is always the same in every era in which we found him. So he's always a kid, a black kid with the same voice, the same body shape, everything, both in ancient Egypt and in the Dark Ages in England. And he has memories of everything he has seen in the past. So we have seen that Reda in Valhalla knows of Bayek and Aya. So it means it's the same character. It's not clones or sages or anything like that. So I'm happy that they introduced him in an Isu era DLC, because that confirms that he is some kind of Isu. And they also introduced the fact that he knows a way to survive the catastrophe, which is why he is always alive and always the same person in all the world where we have found him. So it's not too bad. I would have loved more explanation as to what he did, because he somehow collaborated with Loki, but that's pretty much it. I feel like if we could use Odin powers in the base game, the game is going to feel super easy. Probably yes, but also it wouldn't make sense to me. Like using the powers in the real world. It would feel like Odyssey, where you can use like actual powers with monsters walking around and stuff. Would not feel Assassin's Creed to me. Are we having some frame rate issues? Can you see the stream properly, by the way? I'm seeing some lag, but maybe it's just me. The Netflix show may work as the comics between Origins and Odyssey did, but for Rift and Infinity. Yes, they could act as something happening in between. Stream is fine. Okay, so it's just me on my tiny PC. Okay. It would be cool. I mean, I would expect the Netflix series is going to be like a huge thing. So, of course, I would expect it to release not in the same year when a game releases. And it's been in discussion for quite some time. So hopefully they finally decide the first day to start the shootings. But yeah, I would expect that to happen when nothing else is happening apart from transmedia. I don't really think that Ubisoft wants fans to divert their attention from the game to the Netflix series or from the Netflix series to a game. I don't think they want... what is this?
First shard.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is where you find one of the shards, okay. Do you think they do a final set of quests when they show us why Eivor goes to Finland? Yes, but I wouldn't call it a set of quests. I think I'm going to touch a bit on that during the Dawn of Ragnarok analysis. I'm not gonna spoil too much what I'm thinking of, or like a tiny theory that I have. I should be able to have that in episode 4 or 5. I don't expect to have more than 6 episodes. Next one is the second one, and it's going to go up until what happens to Baldur at the end, right before the ending. Then episode 3 should be about the ending. Episode 4 should be about the post-credit scene, and then episode 5 could, if there's still room for stuff, episode 5 could be about something else. Do you think XXX playing 12XXX, do you think the modern day Loki will have an impact on the next games? I would surely hope so, but you ask, do you think? So I don't expect necessarily that the devs might continue Basim's story or Loki's story. We do know that we're going to play. We do know there are rumors about the upcoming Assassin's Creed Rift game having Basim as a character, but and Baghdad as a potential setting. So obviously, of course, it's going to be a historical setting, meaning that it's probably going to be set before the events of Valhalla or during the events of Valhalla. I don't know. So of course, it's not going to be about modern day Basim, but we might actually see some modern day Basim in Rift. Then again, if there's going to be another, like a new game and a new Assassin's Creed game in a new setting and everything, I don't expect necessarily to have Basim as the main character. Everyone seems to hate the East and modern day stuff, but honestly, I wouldn't mind having an entire game set in those eras without the historical medium. Yes, I agree, but also I don't think that there would be enough fan base to be interested in a modern day only or actual first civilization only game. And the reason for that is that they are now considered to be relatively side but necessary content in order to have different stuff in AC. Like, you need the modern day, otherwise you cannot go into the historical experience. You need to have the ESO, otherwise you cannot do magical stuff and the mythological stuff. You need to have modern day or ESO stuff because otherwise fans, like hardcore fans, are going to complain. I would say that Valhalla's main game was very good in interweaving modern day and first civilization within the main story. That was a very good, I wouldn't even call it a compromise. I called it a compromise in the past, but actually it was a very good standalone story and product. Because it didn't feel like, now I'm playing modern day, then let's stop, then now I'm playing the historical part, then stop, and then now I'm playing the ESO stuff. Like, they were all intertwined, and that felt really good. Like, it felt like an organic story. While I can't say the same about all the DLCs for Valhalla. Wow, I'm missing some of the questions that you guys are asking. I mentioned in the last stream that we have introduced like super chat and super thanks. So if you'd like to make some kind of donation to us, that would help us a lot. And if I'm missing your question, and if you'd like to make your question more visible during the stream, you can use the super chat. It's the option below the chat. Any kind of donation would help us a lot with all the content that we create and the time we can allocate towards creating content here on Access the Animus. So any kind of donation like that would really help us a lot. But yeah, going back to your comments, Atef is saying Basim is my favorite character in Valhalla. I'm not sure how they would do a modern day in Rift. Well, I think it would be pretty obvious, but yeah. I mean, to me, it would be like, if Basim is the historical main character of Rift, then it can either be Basim going back to his old memories to find something that he can't. For some reason, he can't remember, or like his memory is locked for some reason. Or maybe he wants to go back to some kind of Isu temple, and in order to access, he needs to revisit his own memories because he missed some details or some information or something like that. Of course, it would make more sense if it was someone else visiting Basim's memories, but now that we have Basim in the modern day, of course it has to be him. I mean, to me, it has to be him. Tailgate Rift started out as a Valhalla expansion, so it will likely have similar gameplay systems to Valhalla. Yeah, the rumors are saying something like that, but I wouldn't exclude. I mean, yeah. I mean, if the basis is Valhalla, I would expect some of the systems to be similar. But now it's been 2 years since Valhalla was released. I mean, a year and a half. Plus, there's going to be an announcement, and then some more time, and then the DLC will release. So it would be at least 2 years before Rift is released. So I would hope, if they're selling it as a main game, that they change some of the systems. Otherwise, it will feel even more of the same. Rift's modern day would probably be Basim showing William and other how he figured out he was Loki. That'd be cool. But I don't think that Basim wants to show his cards to anyone. Unless he is really, really, really into being an assassin. Because, like, Basim started... I mean, Basim is a hidden one. And he's, like, a master hidden one. Master assassin. So, he feels to be, like, a proper assassin. Of course... in Valhalla, he is very much like Loki has won over Basim. So of course, Loki is doing his own, like he's following his own agenda. But at the same time, it does feel like Basim is still a hidden one. He is considered as a betrayer at the end of Valhalla by the hidden ones. But at the same time, both in the comics and in the books and in Valhalla, it does look like he somewhat cares about the hidden ones, even if they're not his main priority. So, who knows? I guess we could see him more as a hidden one. Who knows? We should all stop complaining and just accept it for what it is. It's not like complaining will do anything at this point. Clearly the company does its own thing and does not listen to fan base. I would say it does not always listen to the hardcore fan base. I think we should move on to the idea that we are not the only fans of Assassin's Creed. There's not only hardcore fans. And we live in our own bubble, including myself in here. So sometimes, because our voice is strong, we do believe that there's also many, many voices. But it's not always like that. There's a lot of casual fans, and they are way more than the hardcore fans. And thus, Ubisoft is trying to cater to them as well, of course. I think it would be fun if Basim wrote the databases while someone else was in the Animus as him. That would be cool. I would love to see Basim writing database. I mean, could be cool also if Sean was writing the database as Basim is in the Animus. Or as it was in the case in AC4, Unity, and also Syndicate, that the database entries, they were written by multiple people who signed themselves, so they can make write jokes against each other. Thank you, Ethan, for joining us. I hope we'll see you in our next stream next Monday. Hey, Kazekage Momjinsu. Just joined and I'm done with school for today. Yes. So now you can stay with us for a bit. You changed your nickname though, Kage. Why did you change your name? Is there some secret behind that? Things are going to get extremely convoluted if his kids are actually alive. Yes. Ish. I mean, he's looking for his family. Basim is looking for his family at the end of Valhalla. So, he's either looking for them as they are alive, or he's looking for something connected to them, either to bring them back or to further his own plans. I think if the assassins don't get in his way, he would be willing to ally with them, but his priorities are for his family, yes. I wouldn't expect the assassins to get in his way unless his motivations go against those of the assassins, because at least in the modern day ending of Valhalla, it seems like Basim does want to hunt Templars as well. So unless that is just a way to cover for his own actual plans, I would expect modern day Basim to also support the assassins, or to at least work with them, but in a way where you never know whether to trust him or not. That'd be cool. Is there any info regarding how the original Basim personality was like before Loki took over him? No, Jatin, because as far as I know, the earliest we have seen Basim is in the Song of Glory comic, which is a prequel for Valhalla, and he is a master assassin in Constantinople, and pretty much he hears for the first time about Sigurd and the mark that he has on his neck, and he's saying something like, "Oh, at last I'm finding them," or something like that. So by that time, which is before Valhalla, Loki has already taken over Basim. So I guess we could see that in Rift, depending on when that takes place. If it's like right before Valhalla, or if it takes place when Basim was a youngster or a kid or a young man, who knows. Change my name so that people could pronounce the first part of my name properly. Kazekage. Momjisu. Is that a proper pronunciation? I just remembered that there is a random note on Layla's laptop in the modern day that mentions COVID. Yes, that is true. I think they tried to go there because it had been only a few months since the pandemic started. I guess they wanted to make it to make the modern day feel more and more located and placed within our own reality. So they mentioned COVID. It's not the first time that AC does that in order to make the modern day feel more as if it was happening in our real world. By the way, in your first Dawn of Ragnarok analysis video, you were wondering about Isu-like Asgardian towers as transportation devices. I think that's the case, as they feel reminiscent of Hermes towers. Oh yeah, I think I saw your comment on our video, RC. They do feel similar to the Hermes towers. They are pretty huge, and they do remind of those. When I think of the Isu teleportation devices, I'm thinking of the ones that usually when you are in a temple, they teleport outside, and basically there's just a circular area where you're standing over it, and then you teleport somewhere else, as it was the case in Origins. But that's true. The Hermes towers were like huge towers that teleported you somewhere else. So that's a nice connection right there. Basim studied under Al-Khwarizmi. I think that's the pronunciation. When he was young, so we know he was pretty scholarly. Yes, that is correct. Oh, thank you, Kazekage, if the pronunciation was correct. Yes, I would like to have at some point a video, actually pretty soon, maybe after episode 2, about what we know about Rift in terms of story. Not about Rift, but what we know about Basim based on Valhalla, which might play a role in Rift. For real though, I wish Basim was the main character in Valhalla. I like him better, especially how he is so conniving. I don't know what that means. And cunning. Setting up the trap, getting ready to strike. Yes, he's a very fascinating character, Basim. You don't know whether to trust him or not, but you know that he's extremely dangerous. Like, he is a super ironic character. He's a character that knows a lot, but like he's very cultured, but at the same time, you know that he could strike you like a viper at any time. That's a very good character, Basim. I'm surprised they listened to the fans about the Basim outfit. Honestly, yes, but I've seen a lot of mods in the game, like a lot of, well, non-official mods that allow you to wear any kind of outfit that NPCs characters are wearing. So if modders can do that, I absolutely believe that Ubisoft devs can do that with a lot of outfits. Like I've seen mods where you can wear Kassandra's outfit like as Eivor from the crossover. I've seen mods where or at least pictures where Eivor can wear the Isu outfit that Odin is wearing in the Toba catastrophe scene. There's like if mods can do this, oh, you're not finding the location. I always hate this location. Like I never can find the way to go underground and find it's here. Probably on the right, no? Down here, no? I always hate this place. I never found it. Look, maybe you can fly around and see if you can find the location. Of course it's dark. I think it would be cool if Al-Khwarizmi was the one who introduced Basim to the Hidden Ones. Could be. That historical period in Baghdad was like full of culture, and there was so much happening in there that any historical character could introduce him to the Hidden Ones. Do you think Eivor is an ancestor of Edward? Nah, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's no info that hints at that. She could be, but I wouldn't connect so much the main characters. I prefer them to have their own life. Even though at times it's cool to have some connection between the main characters, like this crossover. The big question is, Eivor sees Reda in Odin's memories. Why she doesn't say anything to Reda in Ravensthorpe? That's an amazing question. That's an amazing question right there. I don't think anything can be done in Valhalla. I think that at some point the devs for Dawn of Ragnarok had to meet a deadline, and they had to cut some content that they were planning. So that's also a reason why she does not ask anything to Reda. So in the game about him, we could assume that he was quite strong mentally if he became a master assassin before Loki took over. Who knows? Maybe he became a master assassin after he was taken over by Loki. And Loki used his knowledge and prowess to gain a high rank within the Hidden Ones in order to find Sigurd and Odin. Can I look for this location? Because Sary, let me see. Let me take control. I have the instrument of power now. So let me see if I can find the location. I never find it. It's always super hidden. There we go. It's here, I think. Of course it was in front of you. There we go. Hello Assassin's Creed community, welcome to the stream. I saw a comment by Matteo. They did the Animus special thing in Origins where you can play as any NPC and change everything in the game. Yes, that was called the Animus control panel, and it was friggin' amazing. I don't recall if I tried it because back then I didn't have a proper PC to play AC. But yeah, it was an amazing idea. You could do so many cool things with the Animus control panel. You could control any kind of character. You could have different settings. You could have more than one tamed animal following you. It was pretty cool. Al-Khwarizmi reminds me of Al-Mualim. Yeah, that's a very that was a good idea. Okay. Well, Eivor did not die. Yeah, Ubisoft is really missing out on making their game great. They could have at least given us some NPC outfits as a reward for all those side quests. By the way, there's a lot, but there is no point. Yeah, honestly, like again, if you play the Discovery Tour, the outfit that you get is very similar to the outfit worn by some of the NPC soldiers in England, which also again shows that NPC outfits can be adapted to Eivor, and Eivor can use it. So a lot of other NPC outfits could be provided to Eivor and to the players. Yet their store is packed with weapons and outfits. Yes, that's their practice. That's the microtransaction practice. Pretty much, hey, look at this shiny thing. You can have it, but you have to pay. Otherwise, you can have like this normal thing, which is pretty okay in the main game. That's been their practice since Origins. But at least, I mean, yeah, there's like all the... You could get the items in the store by doing the Reda stuff, but you would have to do hundreds and thousands of missions before being able to get some, like, the good stuff from the store. And especially to get a full set. Of course, that's the key to make people buy more microtransactions. I think Eivor thinks her visions to be interpretations. She didn't say anything when she saw Basim as Loki 2 in the main story. Yes. I think they did not have Eivor react to a lot of stuff, and they should have. As they did not have Layla react to a lot of stuff in Odyssey up until the Hero Memory Quest. It's something that I really don't like. Like, the main character in the modern day, or in this case, Eivor, is pretty much the modern day compared to the Isu meta story. And having the character that is experiencing the memories not react in any way. I mean, she does react. Eivor does react a bit after she finishes her vision and talks to Valka, but it's not exactly the same. And also, she never reacted. I mean, she did kind of reacted to Basim, but she never properly confronted him about being Loki. Maybe Loki takes more and more control of Basim in Rift as he moves up their hierarchy, and after he kills the local Grandmaster, Loki finally takes full control of Basim. That would be freaking cool. I would love that. Whoa, look at you. Look at Sary doing some proper social stealth here. I mean, Valhalla brought a lot of cool AC stuff there, but sadly, it did not bring back the bench kill, like bringing the body on the bench and then walking away. That would have been extremely cool. But Valhalla brought back a lot of stuff that Odyssey took away, so. What I'm also curious about is how exactly does Odin. Okay, I'm trying not to get into the spoiler territory here. How it triggers Ragnarok. How the ending of the game triggers Ragnarok. Uh, that's a very good question. RC, the DLC does not explain that at all. And the reason for what is happening is not really explained in the DLC. It's more like it's left open to the interpretation of the fans, which I pretty much dislike when it's about events that are so poignant and important. Like having such important stories, such important events not being properly described. It's like, why am I even playing if I'm not understanding what is happening here? Like, I should stop caring. That's what I also mentioned in the first episode of the analysis. If you don't care to explain what is happening, why should I care playing? I mean, if there are some hints, and they are there to tell me, hey, you should understand this if you put the pieces of the puzzle together. But if there's no pieces, then I should not even try. Like the Isu language is cool because there are hints that allow you to understand how to translate and use it. But if you don't have any clue, then it's more like the piece of content is not providing you with any information, and that's it. Have you read the AC Unity book? If you have, what's your opinion on the story? I personally think if you just played the game, you wouldn't get the principle of the story. I just felt it had potential. Jatin, you're right. I think you're talking about the AC Unity novel, because there's also like the Abstergo Entertainment Employee Handbook, which is another book tied to Unity. The AC Unity novel very much is a complementary story, but at the same time, it explains a lot of what is happening in Elise's mind, while Unity is very much focused on Arno. And yeah, it puts a lot of things from Unity in perspective, because playing Unity, sometimes you can feel like Elise is very, well, not very, but sometimes she is selfish, like she's following her own path, her own revenge, and sometimes not taking Arno into account. But if you read the book, it does provide way more context as to why she is doing what she's doing. So yeah, you should really read the AC Unity novel if you are a Unity fan. Kazekage is asking, Markuz, have you seen James Laser's new video on AC? His tweet. Yes, I have. I do understand what he's meaning. It's a very difficult topic to discuss. When I put some of those reactions, and there are some also in these analysis of the Donna Ragnar DLC, I put those reactions both as some in terms of like they were like a joke, but also it was a way to show my discontent for sure. But at the same time, especially with Valhalla's main game, I still found some very interesting elements that I did like the story in Valhalla. I did like at least the main story, not the filler arcs necessarily. The ending was I think very well crafted. There were other elements of Valhalla that I liked, like the Isu language or modern day as well. Like considering the ending of Odyssey, Layla could not be redeemed fully, and Valhalla did not redeem her fully. But I still enjoyed how Darby's team, the writing team, tried to do the best with what they had in their hands. So Personally, I keep going because there's still some elements that I do like in AC, even if AC has changed a lot compared um, to what it used to be and what I loved about AC. But there are still some elements that I do like, so that's pretty much my comment on that. And Kage, don't never feel like your questions are improper. Like, I would love to answer all your questions, and the streams are here just for that, along with all the other content that we're trying to do. What's happening, Sary? Are you looking for the shard? I think it's up the hill somewhere. Yes, the novel. Yes. Would you like to see Eivor as a hidden one, or think that's not gonna work now? I would say at this point, no. To me, some other fans have asked in the other streams. To me, having like Eivor after 2 years of content and post-launch content, join the hidden ones when the content is over. To me, it would feel very unsatisfying, honestly. It's not really great. Like, if she were meant to join the assassins, she would have, like, the hidden ones. She should have done that. It's down here, I think. There's a road somewhere, maybe down here. Should be some passageway. I feel like if she were meant to join the assassins, she would have done that before. At this point, after she has done all these stories, everything for her glory or for her clan or whatever, and even considering the ending of Dawn of Ragnarok, I for Eivor, I wouldn't expect her to become a hidden one at this point. I would also not like that. Like, if she becomes a hidden one at the end, and we cannot see or play as her as a hidden one, I would also consider it as some kind of mockery. So, hello, Christopherus. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Late as usual, of course. I mean, it's your thing at this point. It would be cool to see Loki take control of Basim, the more high-ranking order of the ancient members he kills in Rift. Yeah, I would love that. I would love to see something like that. I hope that they added a big battle in the end of the game like we saw in the trailer. Oh, you're talking about the DLC, about Dawn of Ragnarok. There is... there is a final battle, but it's just that. It's a battle with not a lot of context, not a lot of explanations. It felt pretty much as the mythological battle that you have in the Wrath of the Druids DLC, with some more Isu context, some artifacts, the tower being there, but the game itself does not provide a lot of explanation as to anything that is going on in there. You need to find some information around the world to have a slightly better idea, and it's still weird. I hope... oh no, okay. I think watching how Loki in Basim's mind goes from mythical look to Isu look as we progress the story, that would be cool. That would be amazing, so I don't expect that to happen. Kazakage, just saying, cause a lot of anything to do with fans like James tend to get controversial. Yes, I mean, at this point, this is a very varied community for sure. And it's easy, like, for any kind of opinion to be turned into a controversial one. We're trying to go on and do our own thing. And as long as we're going to have fun with the story, or at least with some chunks of the story, we'll keep doing this. And also, I really enjoy doing some of the analysis to share some of the opinions with you guys. So we'll do that, and at some point, if we don't enjoy that anymore, we're gonna do the Access the Horizon thing that we mentioned in any kind of stream, in all the streams that we're having. So like recently a friend suggested me to do the Access the Universe, like having like different fans creating like different content on different games, like an analysis on different games. That would be huge. Too much. Eivor as a Templar, now there's a catching plot twist. I mean, yeah, that could be a very nice plot twist. But she kind of antagonized King Alfred, but it would be cool at some point. Because England needs to be retaken fully by, well, not by Alfred, because Alfred was never able historically to see England united, but like their sons, like his sons and the other kings that came after him, eventually that will happen. So at some point the Vikings will have to be rebuked, and Eivor will have to go back to Finland. We're still missing the reason why Eivor died in Finland. Yeah, we're still missing that. At this point, it's only some theories that fans are producing. We'll see. I'll have some in the future as well. Maybe the Templars are right and the Brotherhood is wrong. What do you think? Access the Animals.
Templars.
Well, Sary here playing. She is very much aligned with the Templar ideology in general, of course. She does believe that control allows for a better and more stable society. I'm more oriented towards freedom of thought, but I do also agree that can lead to anarchy and stuff. I don't think it can be as clear cut as you put it. It's your boy Mike, in that it's not like within AC the Templars are right and the Brotherhood is wrong, or vice versa. It's not like the Assassins are right. What the games should show more is the gray areas between those points of views. Rogue, in my opinion, failed in showing those gray areas, because Rogue put us in the place of a Templar, and pretty much it showed the Assassins immediately. They were like huge bad guys. They were just like almost cartoonishly evil, the Assassins in there. Sometimes pretty stupid as well in their decisions with the seismic temples. I think it could be time for another game where we're playing as a Templar, but the game should show the nuances of the two ideologies. I would love to see more ideologies stuff in Assassin's Creed. Do you have a contact in Ubi? And if so, can you tell him to tell his boss to make a Hidden Ones DLC at least? We don't have that kind of power or influence. We are part of the Mentors Guild, which means we can sometime deliver the feedback of our community to some people at Ubisoft, but it's like in a very contained way. It's not like, can you tell them to do a DLC about the Hidden Ones and they will do that? It's not like that. I'd like to say that I support the Templars, but not the modern day Templars. They suck. But sadly, the team that decided that the Assassins are right. Yeah, like I said, I'd like to see more nuances. Sary found the absolutely non-canon Spear of Leonidas here. I mean, in one of the audio files, Desmond says he had a vision about Ezio where he says he felt a great regret coming from Ezio as if he didn't believe in his cause or the Brotherhood anymore. Well, Ezio had a story of his own, and towards the end of his story, he's had enough of assassins and Templars, so also he has enough of the assassins. That's why he is retiring himself and his family in the Tuscan countryside, and that's why he is super worried where Xiao Jun is reaching out to his daughter Flavia in Assassin's Creed Embers. So Ezio is a very old Ezio is a very particular character, and I think, if I recall correctly, that Desmond file in Valhalla was mentioned in something like that. Like Desmond was talking about that part of Ezio's life, where he wasn't believing in the assassins or Templars cause anymore. Like in Revelations, if I recall correctly, he says something like, "I've seen too much for one life," and that's where he's retiring. Rogue just swapped the groups around. The assassins act like Templars and the Templars act like assassins. Yes, that's the thing, and the reason for that, I guess, is also that back then they had such a little time to have a proper, huge main game. Well, huge. It was a pretty big game, and I think they did that in a very short amount of time, so they couldn't flesh out the characters, which to me was a failure in a way, in that was the first and only shot at having a story as a Templar in the game, and they never did that anymore. Even if we have seen more stories playing as a Templar in the transmedia, for example, Assassin's Creed Heresy, where you're playing as Simon Hathaway. Well, you're reading the story of Simon Hathaway, who is a Templar, a Templar historian, by the way. That's pretty cool. My question is, why are both the assassins and Templars endlessly chasing after pieces of Eden? Don't they ever actually fight for what they believe in, freedom versus control? But the thing is, it's right there. Like the Templars especially are looking for the pieces of Eden in order to have control over the populace. Not all the time, of course, but like they're looking for the observatory in AC4 because they can control humans. They're looking for the apples of Eden they were looking for the apples of Eden in order to send them in orbit in order to control the populace, or like to look for specific people. The idea for the Templars, on average, is to look for the artifacts in order to control the humans, and that is why the assassins, again, on average, they are looking for the pieces of Eden, but not to use them, and instead it's to avoid them from falling into the Templars' hands when we had assassins and Templars. Exactly. So I just saw that Christophorus mentioned exactly the same. Like the PoE, the pieces of Eden could make the work of the Templars easier, and that's why the assassins don't want that. Do you think in the future we might see an Ezio trilogy remaster? They have done so many Ezio trilogy things that at this point I think they can move on to remaster something else, like Assassin's Creed 1 or Unity or Revelation. The Ezio games have been done and redone and redone. I think they can remaster Assassin's Creed 1, which people have been asking for years, or they could go on and remaster Unity with photo mode, which is also something that a lot of fans have been asking for. The assassins fight the Templars because Apples of Eden can literally control 99% of humans. Order 66 style. Yes, that's the main reason why. And then, of course, while you get the taste of what a piece of Eden can do, of course, the Templars now, or well, back then, they wanted to find all the pieces of Eden, because you want to catch them all, of course. And all the pieces of Eden do different things that would allow them to shift more and more into control. The question that we should ask ourselves is, why are they not using the pieces of Eden that they have, both the Templars and the Assassins? Like, the Templars have a fully working Sword of Eden, and they are not using it. And the Assassins, I think they have 2 Apples of Eden now, and they are not using them. So, that's pretty weird. Absolutely weird. It ain't it funny how Bayek, Eivor, and Alexios can swim like champs, but Altair can't even, though those 3 come from more ancient times. Yeah, well, the thing is, you should, well, there is a story justification for that, in that the first Animus, the Animus 1.28, the one that you see in Assassin's Creed 1, was not able to process the swimming phases or whatnot. And then, since the Animus 2.0 or 2.1, that allowed the avatar in the simulation to swim. So pretty much Altair was able to swim, but not in the simulation that Desmond tried. I've been waiting for an AC1 remake for years. Yes, a lot of people have. I think they're going to be releasing that at some point. Because if it's like a major request, like a 60 FPS patch for Origins, or like a remake of a classic, when fans are asking for something for a long time, Ubisoft usually tends to listen, especially if they see a marketable opportunity. So if they see an opportunity to make money, they're probably going to follow that. That's how companies work. So I would expect a remake for AC1 to come at some point in the future. AC Unity in the novel is the question. Assassins and Templars' end goal is the same piece. Haytham Kenway had this thought of. Assassins and Templars could work together. Yes. Yeah. The novel, the AC Unity novel, also features some letters. Was it Unity? Yes, it was Unity. Some letters that Tessa Kenway had? I think. Am I mixing the stories? I think there are some letters by Haytham that are given to Elise in the Unity novel, which was pretty cool. It was like a connection to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. The fight of the Assassins and Templars has effects on people's lives who are not involved. Just look at Elizabeth's life. Yes. Wasn't that a thing back in the early 2000s? Like in Red Dead Redemption 1, if John tried to swim, he'd automatically die. Yes. I think it's not like it was a thing, but more like the game systems could not handle swimming in every game. So dev teams sometimes cut that system because it wasn't working enough. That's still happening now. It's just it's not swimming, but sometimes entire systems are cut out because they cannot work, or some features cannot work, or like some entire areas of the map sometimes are cut from the games. How many pieces of Eden there are in the whole series? Officially, in the early games, it was sort of like stated that it was 50, or Abstergo was able to categorize 50 of them. Then some versions of Assassin's Creed 2 actually named the Shroud as Piece of Eden number 66, I think. And then they stopped counting them probably because the team did not want to feel restrained by a fixed number of MacGuffins of Pieces of Eden. So that's what they now we have a lot. I think that in the maps there's always still like 50 of them. There's a few Isu Pieces of Eden maps, and there's always most of those feature 50 locations for the Pieces of Eden plus 8 locations for the bigger temples. I think you could sing the Animaniacs country song with all of them. With what? With the Pieces of Eden? Yeah. Yeah, you. It would be amazing, like the Animaniacs country song. Have you heard something about the Netflix series? I don't know, like Matt Ryan is in it. No. There's Ubisoft and the production team, whatever that is super tight-lipped on that. When the Netflix series was announced, I think that Paul Amos, the voice actor for Jacob Fry, he kind of made a joke that seemed to some that it could hint at him being in the series, but it was never confirmed, so I wouldn't consider them in any kind of way true. Elise breaks into the Kenway mansion to retrieve these letters from Elizabeth Kenway? Edward's daughter. You mean Jennifer Kenway. And she has a convo about this, and then she gives her the Templar locket. Consuls would be Mimir in Eivor Dream, 2 entities without bodies. Maybe? Who knows? Mimir is, to me, is some kind of entity within the machines already. Like it's a conscience already within the machine, already within the temple in there. That's why his voice is very mechanic. And there's only a head. It means like his conscience, his mind is there, but not his body. In my opinion, it feels like the Odyssey portion of this crossover had better writing than the main game. And Odyssey's DLC, yes. I mean, it's very difficult to compare a set of missions with a whole game, with a main game. I don't think they are comparable. But I really enjoyed the writing in the Odyssey portion of the crossover. In the meantime, we're getting close to the end of the crossover, so I think we can wrap up the stream when we're getting to the end of the crossover. Jennifer, yes. Will the Netflix series talk about Ezio? I would expect the Netflix series to at least name drop Ezio, because of course the Netflix series, I would expect it to have some Easter eggs. I mean Mythic Quest, the TV series that showcases like the story of some game developers, that is also produced by Ubisoft. It has a lot of Easter eggs for Assassin's Creed, For Honor, and other Ubisoft properties. So I would absolutely expect an AC TV series to have a lot of Easter eggs, or at least name drops for past characters. I wouldn't expect Ezio to actually appear, but they have 10 episodes, so usually Netflix series have 10 to 12 or 8 or 6 episodes, so they would have a lot of episodes to have an Ezio Easter egg. Technically, Ezio was either supposed to appear in the AC movie, or at least he's somewhat hinted at in the AC movie novelization. So I think they can have Ezio at least appear somehow somewhere in the Netflix series. After all, he is the most known character of the franchise, so of course he has to be named in a new production. This crossover actually made me like Kassandra, which is something I thought would be impossible. I could agree with that. I mean, I didn't really like Kassandra as well. We spent a lot of time with her in Odyssey for sure. I didn't really like how she behaves on average, the way in which she relates to other characters. I wasn't a huge fan of. Even here, like, she's like super too confident, too cocky, but she's okay. I mean, I think that this crossover made her more likable, the same way that the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC made Odin more likable. In that, yeah, it feels a bit more likable, but I cannot erase all the other time that I played as them where I didn't like them. So, do you think seeing all the voice actors take the role in the Netflix TV series? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think they would be able to bring all the voice actors. No. I can imagine them showing some of the characters with or without the voice actors. Some of them, but not all of them. Did you like the Fassbender AC movie? Good question. I'd say yes and no. It's a very tough question to answer, in that I was very happy that they made a movie about Assassin's Creed. It didn't succeed as a standalone movie. On average, like, a lot of people did not like them and did not like it when it was released, and it didn't succeed for the hardcore fans as well, because it had, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, it had to feature so many things at the same time. It had to feature introduce the assassins, introduce the Templars, introduce the Animus, which it did pretty well. Honestly, the visuals of the Animus there was they were more. They had to introduce what the Hidden Blades were, the visual elements of an assassin, the hood and everything, the creed. They had to introduce so much stuff, the issue stuff. It was too much to have in 2 hours, and also have a compelling story, which also made it so that it had a lot of inconsistencies, because Ubisoft did not have full control on the story. Because New Regency, which was like the producer, like the producer company, of course they had their say in that, and so they changed some of the stuff that made it inconsistent. Of course, when you look at the Abstergo facility in there, it's very much inconsistent with most of the other facilities. There are some tiny details in there. They're not proper, like calling Alan Riken. But at least it acted as some good basis for the story in Origins and Odyssey as well. And also, it was a good attempt. In terms of visuals, it's pretty cool. Like, you have a visual representation of the bleeding effect, which is cool. The Animus looked really nice. It was a very good concept. some other elements. Like I don't think that the story in the historical times were fleshed out enough, and the modern day part was okay, but again not fleshed out enough. So that's pretty much my opinion on the movie. Fun fact, this PoE seems to be an Atlantean artifact, but people in this DLC call it an Apple of Eden. In Odyssey, those aren't apples of Eden, they look like them but are not. Yeah, that's another inconsistency, as Christophorus mentions. It seems like this crossover is actually making it so that the Atlantis artifacts are actual apples of Eden. I think it was mentioned by the creative director online as well. I might be wrong. So yeah, I mean, the function of the Atlantis artifact was very different from that of the Apple of Eden. Otherwise, a single Apple of Eden could have so many functions, so many different interaction with people, and would feel very weird. Oh, come on, again. Hide user. It's always different users, I think.
You can really hold your meat.
Sorry, guys.
We have been drinking wine.
I always
I would have watched.
try and remove them as users as well, but it's not always working. I mean, it's not an ATA stream if we don't have
Came from a buzz.
some trolling and some spams.
Who's Markuz?
They always have. Hello, Santiago. I didn't see you.
An old friend that made
Welcome to the stream.
truly terrible wine.
If I had the body of a 26-year-old but 1,300 years worth of knowledge and battle skills, I'd be pretty cocky too. You're right, Santiago.
No, it's a Greek
I love the bit in the movie where Jeremy Irons, who plays Alan Rickman, gets confused by the script when he says you have been the sinking in the animals. Yeah,
That's it. You
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it. Now,
there are some cool elements here and there. I really like how they build this hidden blade in the modern day out of parts of common items,
crashing a wedding?
like a phone. They hide it in a book, and like that was a clever idea by the props maker.
Let's join in
That was
the
pretty cool.
revelry.
And we are getting closer and closer to the end. We got to confront Groom. Aren't you the heroes who saved the island and our wedding? Also, you avoided the part when you have to punch the guy.
But yes,
Good.
we would love it
The
if you both
ex-boyfriend.
gave a toast at our wedding.
I actually like Jeremy Irons as Alan Rickman. Yes, same. But I tend to like Jeremy Irons in every movie he is in. So I'm slightly biased.
I could be up for that. What about you?
Like the gravitas with which he delivered his lines
If we're going to do this
was
together,
incredible. It was very fitting for Alan Rickman, for sure.
a blighting competition, of course.
And also the movie was
Myself,
probably a proper release
you though,
to have Alan Rickman die.
with
So
great philosophers.
so yeah.
Stop boasting and prove yourself.
And now we're having the flighting scene here. Let's see if Sary can pick the right answers. She's saying she won't.
My day began the strangest way. An axe thrown at my head, tending to slay. There
Webcams.
stood Eivor, hot-headed
Yeah.
and brash.
Yeah, we had some, like, we always have some spam through our streams. I'm sorry about that, but I mean,
There
I think
stood
it comes
Kassandra,
with the
looking
game.
like an ass.
And there's Sue Cassandra.
On her feet, is she?
You got it wrong, really?
And one dusty old
How?
temple.
You're not quick on your
Eivor
2
to
feet.
see that I could be helpful.
This is
But
so
some
cheap.
of
Well,
them I've met
most of the
with old Norse heart.
flighting scenes are cheesy. But at least this was not too bad, especially its ending.
It'll
This was kind of okay. Good job, Sary.
Eivor did the heavy lifting.
I failed this part and the couple got mad at you. Really? Can the couple get mad at you?
Chasing the nightmares far from Skye. And to the bride and groom on this historic day.
And the bride and the groom on this historic day. Yeah, you can't read. Yeah. If your love survives this, then nothing stands in your way. Oh no, I suggested the actual answer.
If your love survived this, nothing stands in your way.
And that is the final, well, almost final moment of the stream, also of the stream, but of the crossover. That one guy in your settlement who always wants to fight. Well, it's part of the culture. I didn't dislike it. I thought that at some point, like, some of the fighting scenes were pretty obvious, like the answer that you had to provide. But at least it was cool because that allowed you to have like some charisma options in the choices.
No.
Wasn't too bad
Thank you.
of a connection.
I needed this.
More than I knew. And thus, Kassandra puts on her. Sorry, guys. Her hood, and then it's gone. Oh, you can still punch the guy even if Kassandra is going? Really? No. Okay. Yes. Okay. Good. Then let's have Sary punch the guy. He's like, Eivor, come here and settle this fight. Well, yeah, it's how usually fighting works. And it's done. It is done, as they used to say. 2 out of 3, yes. 2 out of 3, Sary. They're saying nice. So, final drink, and then we're done. By the way, this hood that you have is, like the Sary is, like the Eivor is wearing right now, is exactly the same as the hood that you can get in the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC. This one is greenish, and the one in Dawn of Ragnarok is blue. But it's pretty much the same, with the same design, the same texture. I like Eivor's armor. Well, this one, you mean? I do like this hood, but it's very similar to other ones. I hope they release more crossovers, but it's most likely not going to happen. I would expect an Origins crossover to happen. They are looking into creating a 60 FPS patch for Origins, and they wouldn't do that if there wasn't a reason for that. Yeah, this armor is a mixture of different item pieces, if I recall correctly. This is actually a save game from December of last year, so. And the hood comes actually from the River Raids, I think. Or no, or maybe from the Dawn of Ragnarok DLC. It's an Irish hood, this one that we have. And with that, I think we are done. What an unforgettable night. We're done with the DLC. Now we can check the items. I think the hood is the Lou. This comes from the River Raids. This one. And then what else do we have? Oh, we have all the Lou items, yes. So all of these come from the River Raids. And on that note, I think we could, we can wrap up. It was nice to see you guys. once again. Now it's becoming like a proper meetup every Monday at 8 p.m. ish CEST. So it's nice to see you all again, and it's nice to also see you guys like finishing the activity that you have, like work or school, and then you come and join us so that we can have like a nice chat. So thank you guys for joining us once again. Keep your eyes on our channel. We're going to have some videos over the week. We have a video with your community reactions on Assassin's Creed Rift, and hopefully towards the end of the week we might have the second episode of our analysis of Dawn of Ragnarok. So keep an eye out on the channel, and of course next Monday we'll have another Monday stream. So you can expect around 8 p.m. CEST to see us again live. So I wish you guys a wonderful day, or end of day, or start of the day, wherever you are. Enjoy, take care, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.